Welcome to the Reviews Without Remorse podcast with Joe and Dave. Be warned, the discussions in this podcast may contain detailed spoilers. For spoiler-free reviews, be sure to check out our show on YouTube. Enter at your own risk and enjoy the show.
Throughout history, different cultures all over the world reference a great tournament of champions. That dragon marking, I think it's an invitation to fight in the arena known as Reviews Without Remorse. I am Joe, a fighter with a killer uppercut and the birthmark in the shape of a Mortal Kombat dragon. Facing me is the four-armed, half-human, half-dragon behemoth known as David. And this is episode 188, and in this episode, we lost Norman Lloyd and Charles Grodin. Dave and I will pay our respects. And then, get over here and get ready for brutality, as David and I discuss the new Mortal Kombat. Flawless victory. What's up, partner?
Oh, bravo! That, man, for somebody who's not really much of a video gamer, that was a killer opening for the show. Bravo!
Thank you, sir.
I am good though. I am good. This is going to be interesting, to say the least.
It will. This is another one that we kind of didn't exactly officially plan for, but like a lot of films or things this year, it kind of snuck up on us. So we said, hey, let's do it. What the hell?
Yeah, what the hell? What you know, what are you going to do? It's life. And this is the way it's going, you know?
What the hell else are we going to do? So let's get to it.
This was my first classroom, John. Did you know that? My first desk.
Didn't know you taught, Mr. Nolan.
English. Oh, long before your time. It was hard giving it up, I can tell you. I'm hearing rumors, John, about some unorthodox teaching methods in your classroom. I'm not saying they've had anything to do with the Dalton boys' outburst. But I don't think I have to warn you, boys his age are very impressionable.
Well, your reprimand made quite an impression, I'm sure.
What was going on in the courtyard the other day?
Courtyard?
Yeah, boys marching, clapping in unison.
Oh, that was an exercise to prove a point. Dangers of conformity.
Well, John, the curriculum here is set. It's proven it works. If you question it, what's to prevent them from doing the same?
I always thought the idea of education was to learn to think for yourself.
At these boys' age, not on your life.
Born November 8th, 1914, in Jersey City, New Jersey. He's one of us. He's one of us, Joe. He was one of us.
Oh, didn't know that.
He was born Norman Perlmutter, but he would take the stage name Norman Lloyd. Now, you look at his IMDb list, and you say to yourself, why are we talking about this guy? It's like he's only got 68 credits to his name. This man worked with Chaplin. This man worked with Hitchcock. This man was on the infamous TV show St. Elsewhere for many, many years. Wise Guy, Star Trek. This actor has been going since 1939. His first movie was The Streets of New York. It says listed as a television movie. I didn't realize television was out then, but whatever. Well, that's very weird of me to say. And he only starred in a small amount of movies, but you always remember him. Probably the modern audiences may remember him best as Mr. Nolan from Dead Poets Society. The
Yep.
really stuck-up teacher there, you know? I kind of remember him as Carruthers in the classic 1980 The Nude Bomb. Oh,
that's right. That's right.
I love that look on your face like, wait, what movie is that? Yep. The really, really terrible Get Smart movie. But yeah, I remember it. Honestly, you see the guy and you'll be like, okay, yes, I know that face. And you do know that face. And he was a tremendous actor and talent.
Yeah.
In the business for, God, an awful long time. And you heard me at the beginning. I said he was born in 1914. That was not a typo. The man died May 11th at the age of 106 in Brentwood, California.
Wow. God bless.
Cause of death, I'm pretty sure it was old age.
Yeah. I feel like our routine as we do these is, you usually rattle off the things he's most famous for. And of those, I usually kind of talk about the ones that jumped out at me, and like, oh, that's how I remember him. But honestly, I as soon as you said his name and as soon as I looked him up, the first and pretty much the primary. I mean, I have seen his face in things, but the big thing I remember him for was Dead Poet Society. I mean, he really stuck with me. That's really all I could think of when I saw him. So yeah, he was a something else, and he pretty amazing talent.
Pretty amazing talent, pretty long career. Good for him. Yep. Rest in peace.
You know, when we change buses in Chicago, you're going to have a couple hours. I think you would be a better man if you use that time to look up your ex-wife and daughter. It's a perfect opportunity.
Why don't you mind your own business?
Let me ask you this. Why is it you haven't seen them in 9 years?
Why?
Yeah.
Just to get you off my back, I'll tell you why. She married a police lieutenant, and I'm not very popular with the Chicago Police Department, okay?
Why aren't you popular with Chicago Police Department?
That's a whole other... What, do we know each other?
Why?
Why?
What did you do? Why aren't you popular with Chicago Police Department?
Something that really doesn't concern you.
She hurt you, Jack?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
What are you sorry about?
I'm sorry you're hurt.
I'm not hurt.
You just said you were hurt.
I'm not hurt.
You just said you were hurt.
I didn't say I was hurt. You said I was hurt.
I asked you if you were hurt, and you said, yeah, I'm hurt.
That's because you made me say. You're starting to put words in my mouth.
Jack, you're a grown man. You have control over your own words.
You're goddamn right I do. So here come 2 words for you. Shut the fuck up.
You know, I knew this was coming. I had heard that he had bone cancer at like a year ago, and I knew that eventually it was going to come. But born April 21st, 1935, in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, Charles Grodin has 70 credits to his name, according to IMDb. But what credits? What an amazing career this man had. He first appeared, believe it or not, in 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea as just a little drummer boy for that classic Disney movie. He worked pretty steadily. That was 1954. He worked pretty steadily on TV and guests. His first major role, like the first role that he probably got any notice for, was he played the part of Dr. Hill in Roman Polanski's Rosemary's Baby. Not many people remember him in that part.
That's right, yeah.
Probably the second biggest break that he ever had has to be 1972's The Heartbreak Kid, playing Lenny Cantrell. That is considered to be a classic. Now, me personally, growing up, the first time I saw this person was in the 1976 remake of King Kong.
Yep.
As you know, as the list of characters, Fred Wilson, but he was basically the guy who was trying to capture King Kong. Yeah,
Carl Denham, yeah.
Right. That was the first time I saw him, and I thought, "Oh, this guy's a scum." If you ever saw the movie Aliens and you saw Paul Reiser and like, "Oh, that's the scummy corporate guy," and so on and so forth. Charles Grodin was the first corporate scummy guy. Absolutely, positively, he was first with that movie. Another movie of his that I kind of got a kick out of, because he used to play on HBO all the time too, Warren Beatty's remake of Heaven Can Wait, where he played Tony Abbott in that movie. There is another little favorite of mine, The Incredible Shrinking Woman, with Lily Tomlin, and he played the husband. Yep. The Great Muppet Caper, where he played the villain. It was kind of awesome in that.
And Miss Piggy's love interest.
and Miss Piggy's love. But you know what? Give him credit, man. He really seemed like he was in love with a goddamn puppet. So I'm giving him credit for that one.
he was there to work. Absolutely.
He did a couple movies with Chevy Chase. Seems Like Old Times is another one of my favorites.
Yep.
Honestly, I'm going to sit here and I can't just go through his entire list because there are so many things. Dave, Beethoven. Beethoven's another one that he's very famous for. He recently was in the TV show for Louis. He was in a TV show about Bernie Madoff. But now this is the big one. There's 2 big ones for me. First is Dave, where he played the accountant to oh goodness gracious! He was trying to help balance the budget of the government in Ivan Reitman's Dave with Kevin Kline. Yep. That was one that I remember. But the truest classic of this man, the one that he will always be remembered by myself, and by the expression on your face, I'm thinking you as well. It's got to be his portrayal as of Jonathan Mardukas in 1988's classic Midnight Run.
Let's go.
$2, that's all you're going to leave?
That's 15%.
That's 13%. These people depend on tips for a living.
70 movies doesn't seem like a lot from this guy, but man, did he make every little one of them mean something. He always like brought his all to it, whether he was doing comedy or he was being serious. He just had that wonderful delivery, that extremely punchable face. My God, he has such a punchable face. I hate to say this about a dead man, who died May 18th at the age of 86 in Wilton, Connecticut, of bone cancer. Oh God. But he did. He had this ability sometimes of coming across so smug and self-assured that it was like you wanted to punch him. But then there are other times where he came all across as, oh gosh, gee, you just kind of wanted to, put him in a cute little headlock and give him a little noogie like, oh, you're a good guy, that type of thing. Amazing actor. 86 is not young. It's not old either, as far as I'm concerned, especially when I'm pushing 53.
Very true. No, very true. And he I tell you, he's a guy. When he did Midnight Run, and I'm with you, that was the one where, like that's his opus as far as I'm concerned. I mean, that is absolutely easily his greatest performance. I mean, it's so nuanced. It's so funny. I remember hearing reviews of that film, and I remember people talking about De Niro's performance, saying, I think the brilliance of De Niro is that he acts like nobody told him this is a comedy. Like that he plays this dead serious, and that's why it's so funny. Grodin, honestly, is this kind of similar, where he's not playing it for yucks. He plays it so straightforward, so deadpan. And the comedy is about rhythm in this. When these two are going back and forth, I mean, it is just genius. It really is something to see. And honestly, that's a movie. I actually just watched that maybe a week ago. It was on TV. I watched it from beginning to end, and I was like, man, this movie never. It's like, it is like fine wine. It just ages so well. But what's still amazing to me though, he had so much work before that. Like I'd seen him in so many things, that I was sort of surprised when if you look at his IMDb, Midnight Run is the top, like that's kind of like the thing he's most well known for. Yeah. Probably one of the few where he was literally kind of top billing. Like it's basically him and De Niro just sort of side by side, like in a sort of a buddy cop movie. Kind of sharing top billing. I guess up until then, he really, even though he was so well known, he was always doing supporting roles. But boy, is he good! I have a flashback of you mentioned The Incredible Shrinking Woman. I mean, that's another one. He's so good. There's a line in there that I think I didn't even get when I first saw it when I was little. Lily Tomlin is like about 8 feet tall at this point, and she's yelling and screaming about something, and so she's basically berating the husband, and he says, honey, when you feel like getting down off that soapbox, let me know, or something. And she looks down, and she's literally standing on a soapbox. And like I said, when I was young, I think it kind of went over my head, but I look at that now, I'm like, that's brilliant. I mean,
and his delivery is pitch perfect.
It really is. I mean, and I got probably the epitome of a dad joke, but boy, I just spot on perfect. But you're absolutely right. I mean, there's so many other things. The other one that kind of sticks out for me is The Woman in Red, which I've always kind of felt like is a really underrated comedy. It's almost like it doesn't. It's the kind of movie, I don't know where exactly it fits. I don't know who exactly the target audience is for that. But that movie is another kind of just unsung gem, and he's so good in it. He is just terrific. So honestly, I feel like he's a guy I don't mind sort of spending a lot of time gushing over, because he's just that good. He was just such a great presence. Honestly, he had such a perfect smile. You just sort of smile every time you sort of see him anywhere. So honestly, I think he's just spot on awesome, and everything he's in, he really takes up to another level. And he talk about missed, he really will be.
First learned about this 7 years ago on a mission in Brazil to capture a wanted fugitive. When we got there, it tore through our unit in seconds. The target has superhuman abilities.
MMA fighter Cole Young, okay, seeks out Earth's greatest champions in order to stand against the enemies of Outworld in a high-stakes battle for the universe. Written by Greg Russo and David Callahan, based on a story by Oren Uziel and Greg Russo, based on the video game created by Ed Boon and John Tobias, directed by Simon McQuad. Mortal Kombat! Now, small bit of history, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get in the Wayback Machine a little bit. Mortal Kombat was created by Midway Games. It was a video game that first premiered. Now, I'm getting, give me a little bit of credit here. I am trying my best to get my memory back. The first game came out, goodness, I want to say 1992? 92. Yeah, yes, okay, found it. 1992. It came out in 1992 at the end. Literally, it was the end of the arcade era when this game came out. This was like the last gasp video game of the arcade. And everybody wanted to go. Why? Because fatalities. Plain and simple, it got its biggest thing because at some point you could rip a person's head off and hold it up in the air like out of Predator, taking the guy's spine type situation.
Yeah.
Fun game, fast. It was fun. It was fast paced. It didn't look like anything that had come out. It was good. And here's the funny part: the first movie came out 3 years later. That's how big this game was. The first movie
came out. Is that right? I didn't realize it was that. Okay.
Yeah, 1995. 1995 was the first movie. That's the one with Christopher Lambert, Robin Shou, Kari Hiroyuki Takawa. I am so sorry that I completely killed that name there. Talisa Soto and Brigitte Wilson. So yeah, this is how big the game was. And the funny thing is the game has never really wavered in popularity. It has always been kind of like on the cusp for many, many years. For God's sakes, the most recently released version came out like 2 years ago called Mortal Kombat 11. It's like the 11th version of the damn game.
Really?
Oh yeah, it's still pretty big, and Ed Boon supposedly is still even working on it. So good on him. But it's weird in this respect that the game built in this whole backstory for all these darn characters that they had going on here. Which brings us to Mortal Kombat 2021. This movie is the movie that they say is going to be closer to the plot of the game and so on and so forth. And it's like, okay, as a fan of the series, as a video gamer, here is my take on this movie after having watched it. Okay, I appreciate the fatalities. I like that you got a lot of the characterizations correct. Who the hell is Cole Young? Because he wasn't in the original game and hasn't been in any game since. Yeah, went so far as to make this movie as close to the backstory of the game as possible, and yet you threw this Cole Young guy here. Don't understand that. Not 100% sure where that's going. I was entertained. It is not the greatest movie on the planet. It is very cliche. It is very cut and dry. But as a fan of the game, I kind of liked it. I won't say I was in love with it, but I made it to the end with a little smile on my face. Not quite the John Wick, when the first time you see John Wick type smile, like, oh my God, that was freaking awesome, but just kind of like a bemused little, that's nice. Joe?
Well, it's funny. I feel like I could sum it up by saying this. This is actually a really, really good movie for someone. There's someone out there who I think there's someone out there who's gonna love this and who is gonna say this movie is exactly what I was hoping for. This movie's made for me. I don't know who that is, but someone. Because I when I saw it, and again, I'm gonna tell you. I mean, I probably played the game maybe once or twice, way back in the early days. I wasn't exactly hooked on it. I couldn't tell you anything. I couldn't really tell you the characters. I couldn't, probably beyond the second level, I probably couldn't tell you anything about it. I just know that it was a very popular fighting game. I like you said, I know it was very violent. There was a lot of blood for a video game. It was kind of ahead of its time when it first came out. That's kind of all I know about it. So when I went into this, I mean, that's sort of all I knew. I knew it was going to be an over-the-top fighting movie with wacky, over-the-top characters, and if it holds true to the game, a shit ton of violence. And honestly, I when I watched it, there was a part of me that was pretty impressed with how they pulled it off. I thought it's a pretty good looking movie. I thought the effects for something that's kind of, for something that's pretty disposable. I mean, I don't think this film, it's not trying to be anything more than it is. I mean, the cast are mostly unknown. It's a special effects fighting extravaganza. For the most part, it's just fast food. I don't think anybody would be insulted by my saying that. I mean, it's a video game movie. I don't see them trying to. I'm sure they're not going to try to build a whole franchise out of this. I'm pretty sure it is what it is. I found it to be relatively entertaining. I thought it was a pretty good looking movie. The effects were all good. Story wise, I don't know. Don't ask me what the heck this movie was about. I mean, I know it's something to do with something, and it's one of those where something is going on, and you're involved because you've got a tattoo or a birthmark that says so, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Fine. So, and I mean, and again, I mean, seriously, this is. I don't even really know where this fits in a lot of bigger genres. I kind of felt like I was feeling like a connection in a roundabout way to like even Harry Potter because of the kind of magical elements of this. It's like, I mean, it was almost like there was a touch of the sort of, young adult movies that are based on the books, about a young person who's living a boring life, discovers this kind of inner thing that they have, like Percy Jackson or whoever else. So they, go off and live a more exciting life. Same deal here. We, hey, I'm somebody, and we all have kind of these little superpowers that are going to kind of pop up when we least expect it, and et cetera, et cetera. You've got one, I got one. Where's mine? And like when these kind of weird magical powers start showing up, it's like, all right, fine. I mean, I'm just supposed to. Okay, that's the story. So. What am I going to say about it? I thought the guy getting his arms ripped off. I have to tell you, I was kind of impressed. I had no idea that was going to be like a legit part of the story. Mm-hmm. I kind of thought once the arms are gone, like, all right, that was too bad. That guy ended up that way. I thought that was the end of him. The fact that was actually like a legit character and this was part of it. Oh, very clever. Well done. So yeah, I mean, honestly, it's. On one hand, it was just kind of gobbledygook nonsense, but on the other hand, I thought it was fairly well done. So, I don't know if I got a whole lot to say about it more than that, but well crafted. And again, like that's why I say I think there's somebody somewhere who's going to say this was great. This was exactly what I was hoping for from this. I feel like if I knew the lore behind it, I probably would have got a lot more out of it. I think if I knew the lore well. I might have loved this movie. Like it might, if all that fan service was working on me, I'd probably be raving about it, frankly. But it seemed like they were making that effort to really pull in a lot of details that have to do with this story. Not a story that I know. So again, it's kind of wasted on me. But for the most part, I really can't pick on it too much.
It accomplishes, it meets expectations. As a Mortal Kombat fan, it meets expectations. That's not necessarily a bad thing. I mean, it's a popcorn movie. It's not meant to be anything greater than what it is. It is bad guys in this realm, good guys in this realm, fight, punchy, kick, tear people in half with your hat, which I still haven't figured out how that worked, even when it was a mechanic in the video game. It was, but yeah, no, there was a lot of fan service, and there were a lot of throwing in, character here, character there, and so on and so forth. And, for the most part, the fights were good. The CG was a lot better than I thought it was going to be. I thought Goro looked great, as opposed to in the first movie where he looked, and now, granted, in the first movie, he was a practical effect. They literally put a giant top over top of this guy where the two arms on the top were Muppet robotics and stuff like that, and the guy's real arm was underneath. And it's not a bad effect. It looks just fine here. The fights are very well choreographed. If there's anything that I have a problem with this movie, you mentioned the young adult thing. The Cole character is that young adult thing. And that's probably why they made him a character made up, because they were probably trying to appeal to that type of audience, to have the Harry Potter Destiny type thing, just like you were kind of saying. And I happen to feel like it didn't work. And the only reason I feel like it didn't work is because I am familiar with the lore, maybe not like a super expert. I used to talk to this girl who was like, oh my God, she knew everything about everyone, about who did this and so on and so forth. So, a lot of the details are there, and it's fine and it's respectful, but Cole's story just didn't, I didn't connect with Cole. And that's the problem that I have with the movie. I couldn't connect with Cole, and the movie was trying so hard to get me to connect with Cole that in a weird way, it kind of did the absolute opposite. It's like, yes, I understand this guy is the hero. You can stop rubbing my face in it now. I understand. Oh, yes, I know. He's related to Scorpion. There's my other problem with the movie. It opens up with a flashback of sorts, showing the murder of Hanzo Hasashi, who would eventually become Scorpion at the hands of Bin Han, also known as Sub-Zero. Now, in the original story of Mortal Kombat, they were like, rival clans for years and so on and so forth. And that's actually pretty close to the story as to how it happened in the original in the original backdrop. And that part had me hooked. Like right from the beginning, that had me hooked. I liked this little background stuff. I happened to have an extreme man crush on Hiroyuki Sanada, who played Hanzo. And I kind of have a slightly less man crush on Joe Taslim, who played Behan. Now, Joe Taslim, for anybody who doesn't know, he has been in a lot of movies. Probably his the one that he'd be known for the most would probably be The Raid or Star Trek Beyond. He was one of the bad guys in Star Trek Beyond. He was in one of the Fast and Furious. But this guy is an actual martial artist. So when you see him kicking butt, that's him doing it. He's like a stuntman as well. So I've kind of got a big crush on him. And Hiroyuki Sanada he's been in dozens of movies and TV shows and everything like that. He was in Lost. He most recently he was in the first and third season of Westworld, where he played. The second season of Westworld, where he played the part of Musashi, who was like a samurai in that shit. I've loved this guy for a while. I've seen him in a lot of things, and he's always brought a lot to his roles. He was also in Wolverine. He was Shingen in the Wolverine. But yeah, I really when that story happened, I was like, ooh, I kind of like this. I kind of like that we're going to be getting this whole backstory type thing, that I always liked, because Scorpion was always one of my favorite. And then the minute we kind of go away from that, I was kind of like, oh, okay, we're back to painting by numbers, I guess. Had this nice, exciting start, but then he's just kind of, okay, yep, introduced, yep, bring on the Chosen One, Bring him on. Obvious. Yes, I figured out already. I figured out from the minute he first appeared on the screen that I said, and there's the heir to Hanzo Hasashi. Right there. That loser right there in the ring who's getting paid $10 to go in the ring and has his wife, sister, or whatever the hell she was, daughter. No. So, anyway. By the way, in the original video game, and you would think in this day and age, people would want this to be. The original video game, the heir of Hanzo Hasashi is actually a girl. Why didn't they go with that?
Okay.
Yeah. Why didn't they go with that? Everybody's talking. It's like all this time is like, we want diversity and inclusion and so on and so forth. And you know what? I'm fine with that, but try to be at least respectful. And here they did the exact opposite. It's like, you had the perfect opportunity. No fan of this game
Right.
would have given you crap if you made the lead of this movie a woman. You had the perfect opportunity, and no, you couldn't do that. So that's another reason why Cole kind of annoyed me. But then all the fights happen, and it's just wham bam, thank you, man. I got to give a little extra shout out to Josh Lawson as Kano. Oh, did he have a blast with this part? Wasn't he just a fun little guy?
I feel like this was sort of like, the film, boy, I'll tell you, this is going to be a tough one for me to score. I kind of feel like, again, I'm looking at it and I'm saying this is a perfect film for someone, just not me. So right. I feel like I don't want, there's a part of me that wants to give it very low marks. Because, again, it is just quite literally gobbledygook about nothing. And honestly, at no point, and it could have been me because, honestly, once you got into the talky parts, I kind of zoned out. There was a lot of rattling off of names and history and yada, 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 and lore. And I'm like, this is all going right over my head. Just get to the next fight part. Punchy. Bloody, that's just give me that. But on the other hand, I feel like this movie, if there's one thing this film was not, it's not lazy. It absolutely sold, it delivered on everything it promised, in my humble opinion. I felt like they really, it was chock full of stuff. Again, there were a lot of overly talky scenes. There's a scene where that pass me the egg roll scene that kind of blows up into a giant argument, which blows up into almost a fight where the guy all of a sudden shoots a laser beam out of his eye. I kind of felt like, all right, is this supposed to be the character parts? I don't know. Once they got too talky, I just kind of checked out. But the fight scenes were legitimately good. I kind of felt like, I remember as I'm watching, I'm saying, well, as long as I get the fight scenes right, I think I'm okay. And I can't complain about that. I really felt the action scenes were well done. I felt like I could see everything. There was no shaky cam nonsense. There was none of that in this. It was well filmed, well choreographed. So all of the fights were pretty damn good. So I got no complaints there. You hit it on the head when you said that. This is a pure popcorn movie. If you just want to make some popcorn, turn your brain off for a little while, and just kind of veg out and watch a lot of craziness, this hits the spot.
It had the same marking you do, Cole.
It's a birthmark.
What do you mean?
He was born with it.
It's not a birthmark, Cole. It means you've been chosen.
Throughout history, different cultures all over the world reference a great tournament of champions. That dragon marking? I think it's an invitation to fight for something known. As Mortal Kombat.
You ever put a quarter in this machine, you're going to have fun. But it's not high art. It is not. I still, and God, it's going to sound like I'm bitching, but I guess I am bitching. I still feel like they could have done a better job with the story. I feel like there is a rich story here to really get into that still nobody has quite tapped as of yet. But then again, it is also a crazy story and involves a lot of complicated backstory stuff and so on and so forth. So I appreciate that it's not an easy story to translate. And I agreed, 100%. The fight scenes were great. They were exciting and they were nice. And they didn't feel choreographed, which was a nice thing. You ever notice that in some fight scenes? It's like, as they're pulling the punch, the person's already doing the counter and so on and so forth. You can like see it like a dance move and stuff like that. I liked that a lot of the
Totally, yes.
I like the fighting in here. Just it felt more spontaneous. Like it was literally, act, react. I appreciated that, and I'm pretty sure that had to be a purposeful choice. But I mean, it's predictable. Absolutely, positively predictable. You knew where it was going, and I gotta give one last complaint. What the hell was that superpower of Cole's that he gets? Frickin' Kano gets laser eyes. Frickin' Liu Kang can shoot fire. Sonya gets the phaser gauntlets, and Jax gets the metal arm. What do you get? He gets the unbreakable skin. What? You got screwed, Cole.
Yeah, it did kind of feel just all right, fine. I mean, honestly, I kind of felt like, is that really gonna make or break your fight with the 4-armed giant guy? I don't. If you say so.
I didn't understand that choice. that was one of those choices. It's like I was like, what? It's like, frickin' Scorpion gets the goddamn chain with the knife and the get over here. He gets that. Sub-Zero's got the frickin' snow magic and shit like that. And what do you got? I got unbreakable skin. That's so exciting, Cole. Thank you very much. Yeah. It's like so much imagination into everybody else's character.
Run along with your unbreakable skin.
Yeah, so much imagination with all the other characters and their powers and stuff like that, and they couldn't do better than that. The movie is only an hour and 50 minutes long, and to be perfectly honest with you, I don't know what else to say about it. It's it's enjoyable, but it's fluff.
These are your champions.
I'm Sonya. That's Kano.
I'm Liu Kang.
Name's Jax.
Kung Lao.
Lord Raiden. The fate of Earth is in our hands.
Well, I'm waiting for you to ask me the big question.
Well, have we gotten?
And no, it's not about costume commandering.
I was about to say, you because you wouldn't even know the costumes, would you?
No, I wouldn't. But I did. But there were some things that I noticed. What I thought was pretty good. But I was kind of waiting for you to ask me about the violence, and did the violence bother me?
Oh, actually, it's funny. Originally, that was going to be part of it, but when you started saying, I kind of enjoyed it, I was like, okay, well, I'm not even going to ask about the violence now, because I feel like if the violence had been over the top, it would have, pulled from your enjoyment of it.
Yeah, right. It would have shown through already if I had a problem with it. No, you're absolutely right. And I was sort of, I kind of braced myself going in, and there were some moments early on where I was still kind of nervous, like, because again, I do have a very particular sensitivity. Like if it's too realistic, it bothers me. But if it's cartoony, which obviously for the most part this is, I'm fine with it. So right, but I remember the part in the beginning when the guy goes to the house and the mother with the child is inside and there's a baby inside. I was like, yeah, all right, I know this is notorious for being violent. I was getting a little scared, but I the mother and the one young son is frozen to death, and okay. And I kind of figured, well, the baby's probably the movie, so he's probably going to get away. But no, honestly, I did. There were some parts that were just over the top, Looney Tunes violent. I mean, honestly, the part where I just kind of, for the most part, every time I saw something that was like excessively violent, I laughed fairly hard. Usually, the part where the guy throws his hat into the ground and sort of becomes a buzzsaw and literally buzzsaws the person down the middle.
Yep.
I mean, I was pretty much cracking up out loud. I mean, it was, so yeah, for the most part, I thought, it is pretty excessive. And frankly, I thought that it probably did the video game justice in that respect. But yeah, for the most part, I thought the violence was fine. For the most part, I was kind of rooting for it and like, yeah, I was having fun with it.
And honestly, dude, that's fine. There is nothing wrong with that. It is quite okay. In this day and age, it is quite okay. And we should never apologize. We should never have to apologize for enjoying fluff or, crap or simple. There's nothing wrong with that. You know what? There are people out there that will swear by a certain candy bar. Damn it, every once in a while, I like a Milky Way. Damn it, every once in a while, I like a Dorito. They are the worst things for me on the planet. They have so much of this crap in it and stuff like that. But god damn, a Dorito tastes so good. And as my friend Christina would say, this movie is basically one big bag of Doritos. There's nothing wrong with that as long as you had a healthy meal, drank lots of water, and go into it knowing I am going to be eating Doritos and I'm going to have dust on my fingers for days afterwards, and that's okay.
No matter how many of my people you put in the ground, we will not fail. Kill them.
All right, I'm going to keep it straight to the point. We're going to score this sucker. This is Mortal Kombat, technically the third movie of a Mortal Kombat movie, because the original one, there was 1995, then there was the sequel, Mortal Kombat Annihilation, which made the first one look like freaking high art, by the way. And then you have this one. This one, I'm just going to come right out of the gate and say I give it a 5. It is not the greatest cinematic masterpiece of all time, but it is inoffensive, and it is fun. And it's not like the perfect Mortal Kombat translation that you've been looking for. But who the hell cares, man? They cut a flying creature in half with a spinning hat. Don't understand the physics of it? Don't care. Just good, fun stuff. And I will just say it every single time either Sub-Zero or Scorpion was on the screen, I was riveted. So, absolutely, I can say, yeah, watch it, but keep your expectations in check. This was not the worst thing that I've ever seen. Like, the first Mortal Kombat was pretty damn bad, comparatively. This, an improvement over that one.
I'll buy that. I can't argue with that at all. I'm kind of shocked that I'm going to actually score this higher than you. I'm it's funny, because I'm doing the math problem in my head, saying, okay, for me, it's mindless nonsense. I mean, the funny thing is, I can't, even the harshest critic in me can't really go below a 5, because not that I would say I would recommend it, but I didn't walk away from this feeling like it was a waste of time. I did feel like it was visually satisfying. It was certainly fun. So, I mean, it's, there's a part of me in the back of my mind screaming, this was stupid. How don't give this a high score. But honestly, I can't really feel myself go that low either, because I thought, all right, but it was fine. I didn't, there are movies where, even movies that are supposedly well done, supposed to be, legit movies that I watch, and after it's over, I'm like, ugh, good Lord, I wish I had those 2 hours back. I didn't feel that with this. So, and this is the part of me that wants to rank it low, and I'm kind of struggling. On the other hand, as I sort of said earlier, there is somebody somewhere that I think this movie is perfectly suited for, who will probably love it. So, believe it or not, I think I'm going to give it a 7. I think that's probably wildly generous, but I don't know. I felt like it was really kind of well crafted. It was honestly, for mindless nonsense, it's well crafted, mindless. I've seen like these other ones, these Percy Jacksons and these other kind of movies where I find them to be so shockingly boring, and even just the CGI and the art direction and the visuals are should be really fun and over the top, but they're not. Some of the superhero movies that we've seen in the last few years, I find them to be very difficult to sit through because I don't find them to be visually appealing at all. This one I was weirdly capable. So yeah, like I said, it's not for me, but I don't know. I just find myself being generous with it for some reason. So 7.
Man, I want to know what has happened to you. You have gone soft.
I really have. I've been weirdly generous the last few weeks, haven't I?
A little bit. I kind of feel like, yeah, it's like, who are you and what have you done with Joe? My God. But no, you know what, dude? But what you said all kind of makes sense. I don't have a problem with what you feel. Here's the thing. I'm closer to the subject matter, so I'm a little harsher to it. And that's why I recommend, but I'm like, but don't expect, anything great from it. So yeah.
I'll tell you too, honestly, as I sit here and say, I think this is perfect for somebody, I could be dead wrong, frankly, because honestly, you're probably a lot closer to that demographic than I am. You know a lot more about video games than I do. Yeah, so maybe I'm wildly generous and you're a little more down to earth.
Not necessarily, because basically it was nothing more but a ripoff of frickin' Enter the Dragon anyway. That was the whole conceit of the original video game. So not necessarily. I like a good kung fu. I like a good kung fu movie as much as anybody. I feel like they could have done things a little better. Which reminds me, who asked you? And I'm going to go first again. I'm going to go first again, and I've already actually said it during the show. There is not a lot of meat to this movie. There really, really isn't. Good guys, bad guys, beat up. Good guys win. Boom. Plain and simple. Have a nice day. Hope you didn't mind spending that much money on the movie. But in their attempt to try and tell a story and have a hero and have the audience representation character, the type of person's like, well, what is all this stuff? You are in Mortal Kombat, sir, blah, blah, blah. The whole character that allows them to exposition to the audience who has no idea what the hell Mortal Kombat is about. The Cole character was such a poor choice, I feel like. I really, really, like, I have a feeling that what they're going for is that his daughter is the true character from the video game. Remember how I was saying that, the heir is actually a girl? And they could have gone that way. I think his daughter is what they're going to be gearing towards for that. But I feel like by having Cole be the cliche thing, like if you were going to go that far, why not go with a character from the game that was already established? Why not have it be Johnny Cage? Why did you have to hold Johnny Cage back? Johnny Cage was part of the original game. One of the original. They had all the original characters from the game, from the first game, the 1992 game, except Johnny Cage. Why? Why didn't you just start with him? That's my what I would have done differently.
Well, it's interesting. I said earlier that I didn't see. It didn't seem to me that they were world building, so I wasn't expecting sequels from this. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe this is just for the Monica Rambeau of the next one, or you know what I'm saying? Maybe the next generation will step up and sort of be the character of the Miles Morales that from the game. I don't know.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, I'm pretty damn sure. I am pretty damn sure that that's where they're going to go with this. And they kind of did tease Johnny Cage at the end anyway. Because as he's walking out, it's like, I'm going to Hollywood, man. He walks by a poster and there's just a half shot of a Johnny Cage poster and stuff like that. So it's like, yeah, they're trying something here. They absolutely positively do want to do a sequel. No way you spend money like this and release it on HBO Max and not want to do a sequel. But then again, they also did Zack Snyder's, Justice League. So who the hell knows? How about you, sir? Who asked you?
I don't. Boy, here's where I'm really gonna just flounder. Who asked me? Well, like I said, there were a lot of really talky, exposition-y parts, which I guess you have to have in like you said, there is sort of like a rich lore behind a lot of things. It's almost like trying to do a Dungeons and Dragons movie at this point and trying to get, as much of the written material into it as we possibly can. So yeah, all the talky stuff was a little much. And I guess if I have to sum up, and again, this is probably something from the game that I don't know about, but the Australian guy who was the jerk the entire time, and
Kano, yes.
Eventually, yeah. Honestly, I was funny when he had the big scars early on that stayed with him throughout the whole film. I said to myself, that must be his character. Like, his character in the game must have a face full of scars like that. Because I remember thinking it was kind of weird, just sort of weird that they did that. It was so predominant throughout the whole movie. So again, I don't know the dude's story. I didn't find it to be compelling. And no, I mean, honestly, it's like, okay, how much, I get it. Character is a jerk. I get it. I mean, like every 5 seconds, the guy was shooting his mouth up saying something jerky. I get it. He's a jerk. I'm not supposed to like him. So when he turns into a bad guy at the end, wow, plot twist. So it feels silly to even try to pick on this movie for story beats. I mean, none of that was hardly the point of the film. But okay, if I got to pick something, that guy's character was ridiculous. You could have handled him better.
And you know what? I'll grant you that. I never found Kano to be such a compelling character, even in the original game. So yeah, sure. I thought that the actor had fun with it. At least, he tried, and I think he did okay. And I'm just gonna leave it at that. But yeah, I agree. Kano could have definitely done with some work. Let's just say work. He needed work. All right. Well, how about for your consideration, sir?
I'm sort of tempted between two angles, 2 ways I could approach this. One, maybe I just want to highlight the fact that they actually buzzsawed somebody from head to toe down the middle with a spinning hat. That's one way to go. I kind of feel like I'd rather just give it to the special effects. I mean, honestly, I was really impressed with. I guess this is just sort of where we are now, where for the most part, there wasn't a lot that I was really looking at and kind of groaning and saying, up CGI. Mm-hmm. I mean, I mean, it's all CGI at this point, but it really is getting harder and harder to sort of find where the line between real and CGI is. I thought the guy with the 4 arms, I was watching that and thinking like, that's a pretty good effect. I mean, It wasn't that long ago we were getting, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, his head on the scorpion, and it was like just like awful and hideous. We've come a long way, so I just sort of feel like I want to give it to the effects in this film and just say I got no complaints.
Yeah, dude, absolutely. I agree. I thought the effects were very effective and well done. So I don't have any complaint at all about any of that. It's like I said, it's a movie that, it works. It exists. It's, it's just not high art. And I guess I'm penalizing it for that. I don't know. For me, I want to give a shout out to the Scorpion and the Sub-Zero story. It's the first time it's ever been portrayed cinematically, and I loved that opening fight scene. I loved, how heartbreaking that felt. I loved how the two actors played off of each other. I loved the fact that the Japanese character and the Chinese character both spoke their native languages. And it wasn't one of those things where they just naturally understood. It's like, Scorpion at one point is like, oh, I have no idea what the hell you're talking about, but it seems you're pissed at me, so let's do this. I like that. I thought that was a great little moment.
I do too, and honestly, I was a little surprised myself because I said to myself, like they kind of went the extra mile with that. Like the two of them are talking to each other in their native languages. One is speaking Japanese, one is speaking Chinese. They don't. I mean, but I had to kind of go, huh? Because again, as the audience, I wouldn't have known what it was. Regardless, you could have had them speak English. You could have had one speak a language. Why go to the extra trouble to indicate? Yes, they are speaking 2 different Asian languages. Neither of them you would ever know, but there you go. I kind of noticed that as well. I thought, yeah, all right, clever.
Agreed. I thought that was a nice little moment. I thought most of the moments with them were good, so that's my for-your consideration.
Get over here! Finish them!
Kano wins. You fucking beauty.
Flawless victory.
Finish him.
And thus ends our review of 2021's Mortal Kombat. Wow, we really dug deep for that one.
I think we did a lot more talking than I thought we were going to get out of this one.
I really thought we were going to be like 20 minutes and done. That's why, when we were talking about Norman Lloyd and Charles Grodin, I wasn't pushing it. It's like, yeah, no, we need to pad the show a little bit. And we probably did only do about 20 minutes anyway, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But yeah, but that's this week. Oh, but next week, ladies and gentlemen, our namesake. That's right. Back in 1993, Mr. Tom Clancy wrote a novel about his infamous little, I wouldn't say James Bond. Like, if in Tom Clancy's world, if he's writing about James Bond is one person. In Tom Clancy world, there's two people that play that part. You have Jack Ryan, which is the brains of the outfit, and, the shield, so to speak. And then you have John Clark, who is the sword and the man of action. Originally played by Willem Dafoe in, oh goodness, what the hell was the Clear and Present Danger? Originally played by Willem Dafoe in Clear and Present Danger. It is now being played by Michael B. Jordan. That's right. We are reviewing 2021's Without Remorse. Interesting little side note, though. The screenplay is written by Taylor Sheridan. Taylor Sheridan has written Sicario, Hell or High Water, and Wind River. So...
Oh, okay.
We might have a good one going on here.
That's interesting. Actually, I didn't know that, and I perked right up when you just said that. That's interesting. All right, now suddenly I am a little curious for this film. Listen, it's funny because I knew that this book was out for a while. Like I knew of the existence of the book, and I was wondering when this was going to become a film and officially knock us off any search engine that ever was. And I swear to you, just last week, try Googling on or try just doing a search on YouTube, Reviews Without Remorse. Wow, are we down there? So if we were struggling before, it's going to be even worse now because all the reviews of this film are there. So, but we will join those ranks next week.
Reviews Without Remorse. Reviews Without Remorse.
Reviews Without Remorse. Reviews Without Remorse. I love it. I think we just wrote our intro for next week.
I host next week, so I'm working on it. I had a couple of things, but that is definitely up there. All right, excellent. I'm looking forward to it, sir. And hey, you know what? Not too bad after all. Good show, sir.
Agreed. Nicely done, my friend. Not as torturous as I thought it would, and so not bad. And I'm looking forward to next week. So with that, my friend, I will see you next week.
Thanks for listening to the Reviews Without Remorse podcast with Joe and Dave. Join us here every Thursday for a new episode, and be sure to check out the Reviews Without Remorse channel on YouTube for spoiler-free reviews of new releases. If you enjoyed this podcast, please consider becoming a Patreon. You can find our page on patreon.com/reviewswithoutremorse, one word. As little as $1 a month goes a long way. All clips in this podcast are for commentary and critique and is considered fair use. No copyright infringement is intended.
Fight!
Damn it! The player hit the pause button, and he just left the room.
Oh, you're so lucky. I was about to freeze your body, shatter it into a million pieces, then use your corpse cubes in a vodka martini.
No, I'm gonna shove a grenade down your throat and laugh hysterically as your torso explodes into a cloud of red mist.
I'm gonna rip out your spine, swing it around my head, then use it as a jump rope.
I'm gonna blow you a kiss, set you on fire, and then dance around your burning body as you scream in agony.
Or maybe I'll stomp your face into a buzzsaw and split open your skull like a ripe watermelon.
Not if I chop your head off first, carve out your brains, and use your skull as a wine cooler.
I'm gonna chop your head off, grab a newspaper, then take a giant frozen dump down your throat.
I'm gonna tear your guts out and wear your intestines like a scarf. Look, everyone, the latest winter fashion.
I'm gonna rip your beating heart out, freeze it, then eat it like a snow cone. Mmm, so refreshing.
I'm gonna tie you to train tracks, then bash your brains in with a hammer!
Why would you tie me to train tracks, then use a hammer?
It's called misdirection!
That doesn't make any sense!
Yeah, well, you know what?
You running out of ideas, sweetheart?
I'm gonna turn you into a baby!
Babality? Who even does that anymore?
Then I'm gonna dropkick your little baby body into a brick wall!
Well, I'm gonna
rip your off and punch it down your throat! Prepare to get punched right in the mouth!
Wait, what?
Then I'm gonna break off one of your icicles and bang you with it, you son of a I call that... I call that the icebreaker!
Please tell me that's not a real move.
Wanna try it and find out?
Oh God, no.
So, how long you think we're gonna be stuck here like this?
No idea.
At least I got paused with you. We go way back.
Since 1992, baby.
I hate to admit it, but you're not so bad, Zero.
Back at you. You know what? If we ever get on pause, you want to grab coffee or something?
Are you asking me on a date?
Yeah, I guess I am.
Let's do it. Just sit back, relax, and oh, the player's back!
Finish it. Sonya wins. Fatality.